Where are we gonna eat dinner?
I don't know. I'm not hungry.
Okay, Good Morning Krakoa is just a podcast where two people stare at each other all day asking, which book do you want to review until they die? I want to review whatever you want to review. I want to review whatever
I
you want
don't
to
know. Neither
review.
one really matters to me.
I'll take Hellions.
Okay.
Ooh, decisive. Okay.
Oh my god, Daddy.
Oh.
Good morning, Krakoa. Hi there. My name is Michael.
I'm DeVon.
And I'm Terence.
And each week we bring you the latest X books and only the X books. We will dive in. We will dissect. We will discuss. We will go down numerous rabbit holes, all for your listening pleasure. So sit back, relax, stay a while. It's Good Morning, Krakoa. How you doing, guys?
Doing great.
I am doing great. You are looking at the Sailor Moon champion of the local Atlanta area. Because I absolutely dominated at Sailor Moon trivia at Battle and Brew this past Wednesday. Other teams had no hope. I crushed them.
I saw that you won, and my immediate reaction was, there's no living with him now.
You can't see him right now, but he's had to pan the camera out to fit his ego in his little Zoom square.
Also, his massive erection. God, the worst.
Look, I'm sorry that you like Crystal and therefore would have lost in this competition, but...
Well, you act like just because I like Crystal doesn't mean that I don't also enjoy the classic version. Like,
I know, but it disqualifies you as a true Sailor Moon fan.
Oh, okay, gatekeeper.
It is.
At the gate of time now?
I am.
You twirling your little stick?
My time space key, thank you.
Well, speaking of time and space, let's save some of both and move on to the content of this podcast.
Amazing. So
this is a Sailor Moon podcast now. Thank you. Good morning, Krakoa.
It's been replaced. So the books that we have this week are Marauders number 20, written by Jerry Duggan and art by Stefano Caselli and color artists Edgar Delgado and Chris Sotomayor. We also have X-Men Curse of the Man-Thing, written by Steve Orlando and artist Andrea Brocardo, and color artist is Guru EFX. Hellions number 11, written by Zeb Wells, art by Steven Segovia, and colors by David Curiel. These are interesting because we have two books that are part of the normal canon, and X-Men Curse of the Man-Thing is actually part of this quasi-crossover that definitely featured, I think first it was Avengers Curse of the Man-Thing, then Spider-Man Curse of the Man-Thing, deceptively labeled like with number ones, and now we have X-Men Curse of the Man-Thing, and that's really where the X-Men come into this story. But this story is actually, I think if you were to read this issue, you would be essentially starting off with chapter 7 of the story. So I think I'll take that and kind of get it out of the way. It wasn't a bad book, but this will also require a little bit of back explanation for the previous two issues just to make it all make sense.
At least 6 chapters worth.
At least 6 chapters worth of information.
I'm still going to judge you if it doesn't go under 30 seconds.
Fine. Okay, I'm ready, Daddy.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so Curse of the Man-Thing basically sees the protagonist, who is the true avatar of the Man-Thing, has been taken over by a young girl who is a villain called Harrower, who actually is the great-great-grandniece of one of the old women from Horticulture, the X-Men's enemies. And since she has taken over Man-Thing, she has caused trouble across the world with plant towers that cause people to spontaneously combust out of fear. And the man who is actually the true avatar of Man-Thing, Ted Sallis, actually reveals that he became the Man-Thing because of a deal with Belasco. But who has actually taken over Belasco's contracts? None other than Magic. So Magic cuts a better deal with him, while Storm shows up Thor once again by proving who the true Thunder God is, and basically prevents those towers from doing anything, while the mutants are also like, these towers didn't do shit on Krakoa, but nice try, Avengers, you did nothing. They basically wrest control of Man-Thing back to Tutsalis and kick this little harrower girl's butt, and that's it.
1 minute, 16 seconds.
Awesome. So this book is interesting. Again, I picked it up in order to just read the X-Men thing because it was deceptively labeled like as a number 1, and found out there was a ton of backstory that I needed to read first. It's kind of cool to see that Magic, as the new ruler of Limbo, has taken over a lot of Belasco's bargains and deals with the devil. And in this case, you do get to see Magic being a protagonist because she says, yeah, he gave you a raw deal and I'm going to give you a chance to get a good deal out of what you want. So she basically allows to have the choice of either to die because he's trapped in the Man-Thing form, or to take it over in order to be a hero and take control over what Harrower has let run rampant across the earth. You do have a team that seems quite inconsequential that she pulls together called the Dark Riders, which consist of Marrow, Wolf Cub, who is back to life after having died in Young X-Men, so I'm super happy with that. Mama Max, Shark Girl, and also Forearm, who is back to his regular forearm costume and not the one that we saw at Sword.
Or he's pulling a Jean Grey and he just loves to wear different outfits.
That's true. He could be doing that. It's interesting that the villain team that she's associated with is an House of X, Dawn of X villain team, Horticulture, who in fact tried to stop her. But that's also a little jarring because I don't really know where this character of Harrower came from. And I don't really know why she needs to be affiliated with Horticulture other than the plant connection with Man-Thing.
I just feel like Marvel is really trying to make Horticulture work.
Yeah, and I mean, they're interesting in a kitschy sort of way, but come on, I know it's comic books, but like, how much of a suspension of disbelief am I supposed to have about septuagenarian women who go around engaging in acts of terrorism and going toe-to-toe with the greatest forces on Earth?
They're just trying to cover all their bases with their demographic, their rapidly aging demographic, if I need to remind any of us. But
how dare you, sir? Oh, and apparently this will continue. I don't think it ends with this X-Men issue. I guess it's just a regular book called Curse of the Man-Thing.
Oh, well, I can guarantee you that it ends for me.
God,
they do these crossovers all the time, and it's just so inconsequential. They leave no impact, and just it's such a blatant money grab, and it really pisses me off that I picked this up thinking it was starting something new, and I find out that there are books and books of backstory where I'm just confused and annoyed. One of the positives of this is that Magic really shines. She is really coming for Emma's throne in my heart as my favorite X character. I mean, I imagine her now as like she doesn't spend a whole lot of time in Limbo, despite her being the ruler, but every now and then she'll pop in for a favor, like when she got rid of Sidorek's influence from Colossus, when he was cursed with that for, God, I don't know, months, years.
several publication cycles, yeah.
I imagine like there's a desk somewhere in Limbo that's just stacked with papers that she has just not gotten to. All the deals and the admin. She needs to order more pens. The break room is out of coffee. Limbo is just in arrears. So she leaves her leadership position in Limbo every now and then to go to her part-time job as the security officer of Krakoa. It's amazing. I love her. Well, time is supposed to like move differently in Limbo.
Well, actually, even worse, because she's popping out, like time in Limbo moves way faster. So her jumping out to 616 universe and then coming back, it's like, oh yeah, it's been like 200 years. It is nice to have the X-Men be impactful. When I was reading this book, it was just like the Avengers did nothing. I think, Michael, you and I talked about that. Like, there's a threat. The Avengers can barely contain it. Who comes to save the day? The X-Men.
Yeah, they annihilated this threat. Like, I remember when I went to read the Avengers books, they're like, a tree is even, or mushroom, whatever the hell it was, has even grown on Krakoa. And they're like, oh, wow. They're really surprised. And then we cut to the X-Men portion, and they're like, yeah, a tree tried, but like, Krakoa nipped that in the bud quickly.
Nip that shit in the bud. Hi-ya!
So they're like, man, this what, the 30th, maybe 50th? I can't remember. It's written on the books. Anniversary of Man-Thing.
50th. Yeah,
50th anniversary. So they did that, and like you said, in my opinion, it is a bit of a cash grab. I was forced to go back and read Avengers and Spider-Man. And when anytime a book makes me do that, I'm already mad, just
Yeah.
on principle. But then we get to the point where all the Avengers are like, oh, these people, they're afraid, and that's why they're setting on fire. And that did not sit right with me. Like, what is this demonization of fear? Fear is a natural human reaction. But they acted like if you felt fear, then you were somehow less than, because all the Avengers were above fear.
Sort of a mortal fear. It's Man-Thing's whole shtick. He burns the fear out of people. It's a whole packed with Belasco thing.
Maybe it's just lost on me because I don't really much know or care about the Man-Thing. There's
Who
no
does?
grandiose.
He's like a low-rent Lovecraft Swamp Thing. And
On the nose.
also, talking about the Man-Thing, if the purpose was for us to get interested in him and care about that character, mission not fucking accomplished. Like, I was just like, oh, just be dead already.
I will say, the best thing I'm going to give to this book is that it brought back Wolf Cub, because I really liked Wolf Cub in Young X-Men. And he's one of, again, I'm a sucker for that Academy X roster, and he's one of those kids. So he's technically alive again.
Huh.
Hooray.
I thought that was Rain.
At first I thought that was Rain too, and then they said Wolf Cub, and I'm like, better for it.
I thought Wolf Cub was just a pejorative. I thought she was just insulting her. I had no idea who this person was.
No, he was a student
Inconsequential.
who wasn't really consequential during the New X-Men Academy X days, kind of like Pixie. But then when the X-Men shut down the mansion following Messiah Complex and moved to San Francisco, he is recruited by Cyclops into a new team called the Young X-Men. But then they find out that Cyclops is actually Donald Pierce, wearing a disguise to pretend to be Cyclops, and has been sending them out on missions for his own benefit. And then at the end of the series, he sacrifices himself and is killed. Also,
Okay.
not one of my favorite endings for a character, so I'm glad he's back.
Again, it was great to see Marrow. Hey, girl. But I was bothered because they drew her pretty.
She's
Yes.
so pretty, right? Like,
Right? This is not the Marrow from Women of X-Men. I had to go back and compare
Yeah.
and contrast. And this is not the same person. I almost didn't recognize her until she was named.
right. The last few pages of this may have some implications for X books in the future. We have a woman I've never heard of, Jennifer Kale. Sounds healthy. Longtime sorceress, summoning Belasco to her. I don't know if that's ever going to intersect again with magic, but
I
yeah,
don't know her.
I don't
I
know
don't
her.
know her.
I agree with DeVon. Magic was pretty badass in this, and
My favorite part of that, though, was her going, look, I can give you a better deal, or you can just, be fine with what you got. It doesn't matter to me. Like, she was so unbothered by the entire thing.
listeners, you missed Michael doing a pretty flawless, like, stares at my nails, checks out the manicure. I mean, I'm not really bothered, like, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
ugh,
I practiced.
supreme.
Her comeback when he said that his hell was being trapped here with her, trapped with a smug teenager. Please, I can almost rent a car. And unlike you, I'd read the fine print on the deal. That burn was sick.
Shade
Bloop.
rattle. So I have Marauders.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So it's the night before the Hellfire Gala, and all the Marauders, plus Emma, are on a boat, and they are toasting to goodbye to Storm, who is like, after tonight, I won't know none of y'all bitches. And then they all tell their favorite Storm stories, and then they say, okay, see you tomorrow, bye. And that's the end.
Nice. 20 seconds.
You missed the most important part, that Storm has like 10 knives on her.
Storm is always beloved for having that street urchin past and her ability to pick locks, use knives, fight dirty if she needs to. The ogling over and the focusing on the knife thing was a little forced to me in this book. Like, it's cool, but there's so much that's cool about Storm, and it felt like it was really a thin premise to work off of.
I thought it was cute, but at the same time, they kept like throwing those knives into the table, and I really wanted Emma at some point to be like, that is mahogany,
I actually expected that moment, and I'm a little disappointed we didn't get it.
This is a weird issue to me because, look, I think this is a criticism that we've had since this started, that while Storm is definitely present in the books, she's not really active and compelling in the way that a lot of the other characters are being used. She's there on the council, she makes some points. Her probably most compelling storyline so far has been that she was going to die as a result of a conflict with the Children of the Vault, but she hasn't really been the leader, she hasn't been the main focus. And it's the same in Marauders. I don't think she did a lot. And for them to have this send off where she's not going to be on the team anymore and talk very fondly of her felt like a going away party for a cast member in season one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's nice. It's great to always see Storm get her flowers, but it didn't really feel deserved insofar as the character's been used in the whole Dawn of X, House of X storylines.
You know what this felt like? This felt like when you have been sharing a flat with Michelle Obama and she's finally moving out. It's like she's so famous and so lovely and wonderful, and we just love her so much that we have to make it a big deal when she's finally leaving. But she didn't actually do anything. Like she got her groceries like everybody else.
And yet simultaneously, right, she's so famous that like any going away toast that you would give to her would be so inconsequential. Right? Like, oh, well, we just want you to know how amazing you are. Well, thank you, but she's also Michelle frickin' Obama, right?
She
like,
knows.
So this is unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. And for the majority of House of X, Dawn of X, she's been very almost tokenized, sort of dragged out whenever they want to recall the glory days of the X-Men. So I hope that wherever she's going, she's featured significantly more prominently.
I mean, this definitely seems like the build-up to what we've heard about, that Storm is supposed to have some new big storyline coming out of the Reign of X. And I guess we're going to get there, but I totally agree about the tokenizing thing. It feels like it's not great character work, I think. It's relying on how the readers are supposed to view Storm as opposed to giving her content that really makes her awesome.
So Storm did have a couple of great moments in her run through Marauders. Let's be real. There's that great moment where some nameless goon on a pirate ship shoots her with a power neutralizing dart. And so she just pulls out one of her many knives and reminds him who the fuck her name is.
Yeah.
Stabs him in the eye. I mean, that was great. I lived for that. It was like, I don't need powers, bitch. Excusez-moi.
Those are great moments, but none of them are really an arc that propel the character forward. I mean, there's no... It's Storm, so there's not really much further for her to go, like Wolverine. You know, we see a lot more Kate and Emma developing, even Bishop a little bit, sort of. Like, I take that back. We don't see much of Bishop developing at all, but we get some from Pyro.
Yeah, it is true. We are seeing those characters be, and I hate to use this term, we are seeing these characters be human, right? And flawed and interesting, trying different things. Storm, unfortunately, I think suffers from being on a pedestal because the character is so well loved. They don't want to make her weird or disagreeable in any way. She's just basically someone who always comes in and kicks ass no matter what.
I think she was too good for the book, frankly.
I was under the impression that whatever her next adventure is, it's going to be galactic in scale. So, I mean, can she maintain her council position when she's off in space?
I mean, why not? Just bring a seed. If Storm went off into space, she could... Remember back in the day in the pre-Phoenix Saga stuff when she was summoning solar winds?
Mm-hmm.
I want more of that.
She had control of like interstellar weather. It was just a whole different type of weather pattern to be accustomed to. The last bit of this, and was something that we had seen in previews, is Sebastian fondly remembering Lourdes Chantel. And here we have an interesting tidbit that Lourdes actually died in the pages of classic X-Men before Cerebro was online. But apparently there might be a plan to be able to bring her back. And I think that might be an interesting game changer too for the resurrection protocols, because certainly there are mutants who have existed before Xavier really got everything up and running.
Not just that, but the fact that Sebastian came up with that idea, like we always kind of assumed it would be Emma that would bring her into the picture. But that it was Sebastian makes me wonder if maybe they're going to add more development to Lourdes' character. as a whole. Like, I mean, you got to understand, like, she was his person. If she's Sebastian Shaw's person, there's no way she's some like nice, good woman. There's some evilness there.
Sure, I'll believe that Shaw is in love and has tender feelings for Lourdes, but he's not going to ever make a move that compromises his advantage. I don't think the naive Lourdes that we saw in classic X-Men is going to be maintained for too much longer. And plus, who did we see on the preview of that cover with Lourdes? Harry Leland.
Yeah, good old Harry Leland is on the preview cover. He's one of the tokens.
And possibly Shinobi Shaw's father.
I don't know. I doubt everything that Sebastian Shaw says since that royal beatdown from Kate and Emma. Until further information comes to light, I am not under the impression that he is 100% autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
I think Emma has done a little bit to keep him under control, more than just break his legs.
But I would also feel the same way we did about Fabian Cortez, right? Like, you don't humiliate someone utterly and expect that they'll just be fully compliant. There's something that's going to be going on behind the scenes that they're working at to liberate themselves or get even or something like that.
Yeah, and I think Emma would know that and therefore put some controls in place to keep that from happening. That's why he's not been too far from her in these pages since then, and he's always seen in this wheelchair, despite the fact that it's Krakoa that can easily heal him.
Right.
I don't trust it.
So in this page, we have the Hellfire Trading Company discussing what their policies are with human trafficking and mutant trafficking, especially as it affects young women. And not only are they liberating a lot of these mutants who have been trafficked, as we saw with Storm and Lash, but they mention at the very end that there's a growing body of refugees or people who've been saved by the Hellfire Trading Company and the Marauders who now live on Krakoa.
Didn't they even call them the Children of the Marauders?
They call them Children of the Marauders, and they say that they're joining a burgeoning society on Krakoa. It makes it seem distinct, right? There's this population of people who really owe a lot to the Marauders and the Hellfire Trading Company.
Oh, I think that's going to be our mystery title that comes out this summer.
Hopefully better than Children of the Atom.
It's a low bar.
I want to point out a cute little moment here, and this is an example of what I would like to see more of with Storm, but they do that. Kitty reminisces about when she couldn't go through the gate and she broke her nose, and Storm, being that badass that she is, comforts her and sets that nose back into place.
And Kurt is there and he's just like, dear God.
Yeah.
This also brings up another point about Storm and Her Majesty. So if we look back at the most recent Marvel-wide crossover events that involve the X-Men, you got King in Black, you got Man-Thing. Who shows up front and center in both? Storm.
Exactly.
Bringing down the lightning. In both cases, she's just like, oh, and does this thing. And everyone's like, wow, Storm, she's amazing. We even go in this issue of Marauders when Bishop is like, Storm wasn't even there, but I just had to say that she was, and they believe me. So it's like they're really, really pushing this reputation as a superpower for Storm.
Storm is the Octavia Spencer of Marvel.
Or the Viola Davis of Marvel.
Take your pick, whichever character from The Help you like.
She is the Meryl Streep of...
No. She's the Angela Bassett.
I keep thinking of what could have been if she'd been chosen as the original Storm in the original X-Men movie.
Don't we all?
And then they had the audacity to put her in a white wig in Black Panther, just so we could see what we could have
Just to tease that
Right.
whole freaking thing out. And, Storm in those early Uncanny days was a little dramatic.
She couldn't walk 10 feet without a brick wall falling on top of her.
Right. I mean, she had fears, right? She had anger and passion and even misunderstandings. And those all made her so interesting and compelling and fun. And when she lost her powers, right, at her lowest moments, she was still a badass, but that's through adversity.
She's established.
She's established, right? Like, so what can they do with her other than the threat of, oh, she's going to die?
They can
And-
show her with her hair down, away from the pressure of having to be the goddess, the queen, the
Exactly.
model X person. They can show her just being a person, granted in space, probably manipulating solar winds. We'll see. It's up in the air, but I think we'll see a much more, and I'm sorry to use this term, human Storm.
The marks were another weird thing to me that I've never seen
Yeah.
before.
I think it got mentioned in the Colosseum.
It was just weird in the sense I was like, so does Krakoa just have like a raffle ticket plant growing somewhere? Like, how does this work? And also, I kind of like the idea of like, can we bring that practice back? Like, if someone does me a super duper solid, like if DeVon, I don't know, gives me a ride to Terrence's house tonight, then can I just be like, hey, here's a raffle ticket. Use it when you want it, you know?
So this is what it says in cable number 1, right? They're fighting in the quarry. Silver Samurai says, Logan owes Cable a marker. And I don't think they ever really explain what the marker is. And Logan says, when are you going to face me? And Silver Samurai says, is it your intention to give everyone on the island a marker? So I guess it's really like a solid. It's a favor that someone gets.
Unless we're all completely wrong and like they owe the winner $500 and this is what that is.
Yeah, 500 Krakoan dollars. Because let's be real, what on earth could Pyro possibly offer to Storm?
Fire.
Well,
She
Pyro,
has lightning.
Pyro was a romance novelist. Maybe he'll feature her in his next book if he's still writing. With his face tattoo.
Right.
And clenched buttocks.
Well, you know, if all the makeup ads I've been seeing on my Facebook feed and YouTube are any indication, Pyro could always cover up that face tattoo with full coverage foundation that absolutely guaranteed will match his skin tone or his money back.
Full coverage foundation /GMK to get 50% off your next order.
All right. So then our next book here is Hellions number 11. You ready, DeVon?
All right. I think I can do this.
Okay. On your mark, get set, go.
Psylocke dreams, arcade beams, sinister schemes. That's it.
Oh my God.
Yay!
Yay. And with the shortest one this week, 7 seconds. Well
Good
done.
Job.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you.
And not incorrect at all.
Accurate.
I don't even know where to start here. This is an extremely convoluted plot for an end that we thought had already been accomplished because we already know that Sinister has a clone farm at Bar Sinister. Now, that he's gone to such lengths for plausible deniability while being a member of the council leads me to believe that this is not his idea exclusively. This is probably some black ops thing by the council, and they need to keep it under wraps, probably leading to his chimera experimentation.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, because we know that that's the big loose end that was dropped by Powers of 10 and House of X, that somehow what Sinister has done with the chimeras results in the fall of Krakoa, and this is really supposed to be pointing toward that.
But going back to the very beginning, because I've skipped way ahead, we see Quanon trapped in the nightmare of Betsy coming for her over and over again. But she's managed to reach out to the mind of Grey Crow and bring him in. For her, it's been decades that she's been piling up the bodies of Betsy in her Mojo World madness look. It's truly impressive. It's an entire dam of Betsy bodies just piled onto each other. It's
strung up and
strung up. She's out of ways. She can't figure out how to decorate further with all these dead bodies.
It's a barricade. I mean, God.
You know what? If this book takes place before all the shit that was going on in Excalibur recently with Malice, doesn't it help to explain why Quanon is so cool with Betsy now? She's had, in her perception, years and years of murdering the shit out of her.
Yeah, she's basically taken all that aggression out and turned it into forgiveness.
I don't know, because I mean, the way that, if you remember from the previous issue of Hellions, she started out with her daughter, who is mysteriously absent. So she was probably killed by one of these Betsy clones that continues to come for her daily. So I think that's a wound that would fester. Granted, it's not real, and she knows it's not real eventually. Still, it's less therapeutic than it is traumatic, which is Jason Wyngarde's point.
Speaking of Jason Wyngarde, when I first read this storyline with him working for Arcade, it first seemed like why was a mutant risking acting against the council and fellow mutants for what, right? To work for Arcade. And then you realize that he's doing it because Arcade is threatening his daughter, Martinique, though I think she looks like Martinique, but she's actually stated to be Reagan.
We will
Whatever.
gloss over that.
We will gloss over that. But he's threatening his daughter. And so you think that, okay, so Mastermind is also someone who's hapless and a victim in this situation, only to find out that Jason is actually in on the whole thing with Sinister as a part of this double cross. So I don't know how much I am able to suspend disbelief about all these mutants acting against the interests of Krakoa or subversively against Krakoa and not being found out and not being punished, because it seems so heavy-handed in the rules and laws of Krakoa that if you step out of line against your fellow mutants, that's it. You get exiled. And yet all of this stuff is happening fairly blatantly. If Xavier can pick up any mutant's brain signature anywhere in the world with Cerebro, how is he like not able to recognize that someone here is acting against the interests of Krakoa?
I'm beginning to wonder, and not for the first time, if Xavier has just oversold his abilities.
I mean, just like Iska, the Oracle. Every episode we're coming for Oracle. No, but kind of like, Iska and the Rocco mutants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, we're super strong.
Yeah, I'm the most powerful telepath in the world.
Oh yeah, I can like never lose.
But I do think it's something along the lines of he is passively like downloading mutant minds and blah blah blah, but he's not actually paying attention. He's got that shit running in the background.
Right.
Just like he did as a father.
Agreed.
I mean, let's talk about Alex here.
Oh, Alex.
Mm,
This is my favorite panel.
baby.
Alex in his shredded costume being dangled like meat, looking like meat.
Mhm.
Oh,
And with
after
a
Madeline let him go out of his BDSM fantasy nightmare. I don't know if this was really a nightmare for Alex.
and him trying to convince them that I don't have a complex about being abandoned and lonely. I'm my own man. Sure, buddy.
But also that was from Inferno, so they were making him relive his glory days with Maddie in Inferno when he was in that same sexy outfit.
Yeah, toxic codependency, man.
Mhm.
That's Alex's whole gig.
Also, this fully confirms that Havoc is a sub.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, we just have it on the page now for sure. You can
No.
only be put in a collar and a leash so many times before we know for sure.
When Alex is in subspace, he is thinking about this costume. Like, these are his duds. He never
She-
felt freer.
She commands me. I don't have to think about things. I can just let her make all the decisions.
Exactly. Let's bring this Dom and subcouple back. Bring back Madeline Pryor.
Yeah, I agree. I think she should be back. I think if she had Havoc to boss around, she would feel much better.
They'd all be fine, you know?
Mhm.
The story about this guy who's confirming all of Arcade's stories, I just felt so bad for him. He's already there under duress, and now he's been murdered as well, which also violates Krakoa's kill no man law
Thank
blatantly. By this,
you. The ambiguous Wingard daughter.
right?
I mean, yeah, that's part of it, right? It feels, I don't know if it's intentional and building towards something or if it's just sloppiness, right? Like, do not act against the interests of Krakoa, and yet they are. Kill no man, and yet they are, right?
This
What are the
feels-
consequences?
This
Unless
feels
that's, like-
incredibly sloppy.
Now, I'm not going to say this with a straight face, but Sabretooth was punished for less, right? Like,
Yeah, well, no, Sabretooth honestly got a raw deal
Yeah.
because they made the laws after he'd already done some shit.
yeah, they did not grandfather his ass in.
Nope. And they did it, and they exiled him because he would be too much trouble because they knew he wasn't going to follow that law.
Xavier was going to exile Malice for taking people over and having killed nobody.
Okay, so to be fair, in Sabretooth's long history in the X-Men comics, they tried to reform him over and over and over again, and the only thing that kept him in line was his psychic drug addiction from Birdie. If you remember that, he just can't let it go. He is the very definition of a homicidal psychopath. He is addicted to killing, and he can't let it go.
I mean, this is an important question. Does Krakoa function on a restorative justice platform?
No, clearly not. But also, like, Sabretooth, in my opinion, was at his best when he was axis reversed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was your opportunity to get that good Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth vibe back into the books. But access reversed, and I don't know, they undid it. I thought he escaped without getting his access reversed.
He did, but by the end of the X-Force run, basically, I think, if I remember right, they explained that his powers were his regenerative abilities were kind of undoing it. And also, by the end, he goes to hell.
As they all do.
As they all do. And I think that may have been one of the things, the price he had to pay was he lost all the humanity that he gained. So he was reset to evil Sabretooth.
Great.
Logan went to hell and got a sword out of it.
Yeah, he made like a deal to get out, though.
Oh, whatever.
Well, apparently bargaining, not Victor
Not a
Krieg's
power, no.
mutant power.
I will say there was a data page that I really enjoyed. It wasn't really a data page, it was a letter from some rando cloning guy to Arcade. And he was like explaining, was like, we were shocked that you didn't know that when you clone someone, yeah, they start as a baby, and that rapidly aging them is a totally separate field of study. Honestly, if we don't get someone that can do that, then you're never going to have it. Thank you so much for saying that you'll waive. And like the whole time I was reading, I was like, you dumbass. You absolute dumbass. Of course he's going to murder you, which is what he did.
Oh, the last thing I want to say on Hellions is I am extremely tired of Sinister holding Quanen's daughter over her head as a carrot. It's tired now. She's clearly in bed with someone who's never going to give her what she wants, and she should break away.
And she is not a character. She is not a character to believe that, right? Like, she is a character who would know he's not trustworthy. He's not going to give me what I want, and he is subverting everything I am trying to do and be on this island for this. Like, she would make this decision right away. This is okay. I was thinking the exact same thing, and I'm glad you brought it up, because this is the difference between a book like X Factor, okay, and a book like this, because here you are making us run through this tedious ass process of dragging out Sinister blackmailing Psylocke to do everything, when a book like X Factor introduces it as a concept and nips it in the bud by the next issue.
Nip that shit in the bud. Hi-ya!
Because we've seen it before. Like, we know it's going to happen. So let's just move on and actually develop the plot, right? I don't want to read a book where Psylocke is being blackmailed for an entire year's worth of publications.
Right.
Until shit hits the fan. Like,
she does say never again, which led me to believe that she was going to shut this shit down.
Like, maybe Betsy would mince around this for a long time. Quanen, no.
Agreed.
So since we've been talking a lot today about all these different ways that people can win and one up on Sinister, or one up on Quanen, or one up on Betsy, I think it's time to really find out who is the dom and who is the sub. It's time for our tops and bottoms, everybody.
Nice. I don't know here. I'm inclined to put X-Men Curse of the Man-Thing at the bottom, just because it required you to read this other stuff. But
that was my question. Should, even though it has X-Men in the title, should it be considered a book in the tops and bottoms ranking? Because you have to read flat scan books in order to understand it.
It's true you do, and, blame Marvel for that. But it does literally say X-Men in the title. It was X-Men : Curse of the Man-Thing, and it is a book in that book alone that is incredibly eccentric. So
even if they're third tier X-Men, like Shark Girl and Wolf Cub.
And Wolf Cub.
That's not third tier. That's like 8th tier.
I mean, come on. I'm inclined to include it, and it does have, and that helps me with the rankings here too, because Hellions and Marauders have been our standby books. They are firmly in the X books here, but Hellions does have the problem where it bothers me that I'm still dealing with her being blackmailed. I want to move forward on this. Quanen's not this kind of character. Why is it taking so long for her to basically bust out of this? And that's frustrating to me. Marauders, generally, I always like that book, but the problem here is what I said before, that Storm is a pedestal character. She didn't have a lot to do in this book, and suddenly we're giving her this send-off that feels like it wasn't earned because she didn't have a lot to do in the story. She wasn't, if they were sending off a different character, for some reason, if they were sending off Kate or sending off Emma, that might make more sense because that person has been so central to what's been going on in this book. Storm has been, for the most part, window dressing, right? She's there to kick ass and leave. She is exactly like in Marvel vs. Capcom. You ask for an assist, Storm comes in, blows shit up, and then flies away, right? So
Thanks, girl.
This is weird for me because I feel like in terms of actual content for mutants being cool and being badass, magic was really awesome in Curse of the Man-Thing. I'd almost give her the top spot just for that. Maybe
Except for the rest of the book.
Except for the rest of the book, girl.
Gasp.
Is this another situation where I'm gonna have to go with 3 bottoms?
If I may skip ahead, I have a possible solution because I think I know what mine is because I'm in a similar boat.
Okay.
So, like I agreed, I loved magic in Curse of the Man-Thing. I enjoyed seeing Marrow and the 8th tier mutants, but I hated the rest of the book, and I hated that I had to dive into flat scan books to understand what was going on, and I hate that they misrepresented it by just making everything number 1. So for that, it's definitely the bottom. It's kind of like that bottom where the sex is really good, but he has to tell you about his miserable life first.
Does this happen to you often?
Yes. And
I don't talk with the people I have sex with.
See, that's my mistake.
There's usually a wall between us.
And that's why you host and don't go pick them up and drive them.
Exactly. Sob stories, humanity, don't need it.
No.
Bye.
Right?
Hi-ya!
But at the same time, Marauders, really great characterizations, but nothing really happened. At the same time, Hellions, all the same stuff that we've been complaining about continued to happen. I felt that the overall mastermind plot was too convoluted with Sinister and like, it was my plan all along to have my molars ripped out and blah, blah, blah. So they're not bottoms because there were a lot of good things in both of them. But I think Marauders was my favorite verse. So like we might bump purses, but nobody is a clear total top, you know?
You know, it's like frottage. Okay, I'll go with that. I'll say that my favorite verse here was, I'll give it to Curse of the Man-Thing just because of how well used magic was in it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I felt, and I didn't say this before, but Marauders gave us in these vignettes the type of one-off adventures that I'd low-key hoped for when the series was announced. And so, I mean, that's both satisfying and disappointing at the same time. I'm glad we got to see those. This was I felt a decent send-off for a character who may not have necessarily shined in this series, but has a full enough history to have warranted an acknowledgement, at least, before she moves on to what I hope is a solo series of epic proportions. Curse of the Man-Thing, so much to say there, none of it good, except with the very small exception of Magic's girl boss moments. None of this really appealed to me. It's another global catastrophe that had little impact on the rest of the X-Men stories that we're reading. Right after another global catastrophe happened with Null and the Black King. Isn't the Earth tired?
I was gonna say, show of hands, who here actually wants to live on 616 Earth?
Right? It's exhausting. What must the insurance premiums be like? How do people live?
Talk about therapy.
But what I'll give it is that, you know, for those of us who are keeping score, any opportunity for the mutants to show flat scan society how incompetent and useless they are without them, I'm here for it.
This is true.
This is what, 3-0 for the mutants versus the Avengers? Okay, that does remind me of one thing. On Krakoa, the council is actually debating, like, should we help them? They can't even help themselves. Oh my God, Exodus even saying it. We tolerate humanity, okay? But our survival does not depend on them. And I'll give Storm a real queen moment here with this extended ecosystem metaphor, but she's like, kill the bees and watch the flowers go extinct. So we need them, but we're flowers, they're bees.
Curse of the Man-Thing is my definitive bottom. Like sloppy, anon, face up, door unlocked, blindfolded bottom. Right? I'm gonna give Hellions my top. Actually, I've been enjoying this entire series, the entire run of Hellions. I just like the concept of these, and I know I berated the 8th tier mutants that we had in Curse of the Man-Thing, but these guys, I love Sinister. I love I love sassy Sinister. Quanon is growing on me as her own character. I'm really enjoying watching her flourish, except for this thing that they keep saddling her with that makes little sense for the character. And the fact that when you put Mastermind, Arcade, and Sinister together, you get an overly convoluted plot, because that is what all three of these characters are about. It has been their entire run, just these ridiculous mazes that people have to run through. And that's what we got here. And I think that does those characters and the combination of those characters real justice.
I will say Mastermind's Mastery of Illusion has gotten so much better. He was
Yeah.
going full Eisen here.
But again, he was revived, so maybe that's his powers being upgraded by the process.
Yeah, he's never been able to do like time and and perception. It was really good. His powers were fantastic.
In the story, he seemed to really fear death and fear Reagan, or whatever her name actually is, being killed. It's again as if Krakoa and resurrection doesn't exist. And I felt that was a narrative mistake. Or maybe, I mean, do you guys have a better
Well, at
theory
first
there?
I would have thought about it, but then when they kind of reveal that Mastermind has been in on the plot, that maybe it was all just kind of an act. That's not super satisfactory to me either, because even the ambiguous Wingard daughter is like, I don't want to die. Like, they got a gun pointing at my head. Maybe it's just because he was in on it and it was an act, but...
Well, even afterwards, when Psylocke threatens to kill him,
he's begging. Yeah, he's begging, right? He's like, no, wait.
Right.
Maybe it's because he knows that if she were to kill him, then he would be at the bottom of the resurrection list.
Or it could be, as Michael has vociferously argued in the past, that death is still traumatic. I mean, they are of an older generation of mutants. They're not like these youngins just running around getting their faces blown up by shotguns.
True. But wouldn't it be something if like the only characters that have been shown to actually give a damn about dying are Nightcrawler, Storm, and the Wyngardes?
It's like literally just like the 5 of them.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, oh my God, like get over it. Like they're fringe. They're the fringe holdouts in society. They're
Right.
anti-resurrectionists. Okay, so those were our rankings, convoluted as they were for the week. And now it is time for
Destiny's Due Dates.
So what do we have coming up?
Next week, we have X Corp number 1, X Factor number 9, and that's it. I don't know why I said it like there were 3.
Because there is a third, Children of the Atom, number 3.
Well, Children of the Atom number 3, I don't see her.
I don't
You
know.
can't just ignore me. I know, DeVon, you're super stoked for X Corp number 1. I am
I
still
can't
loving
wait.
X Factor. So
Right? It's Monet.
Yeah, and X Factor is gonna guest star Dazzler and Lily Cheney. I'm stoked.
yeah, I'm excited. Maybe we'll have 2 tops.
Maybe.
I doubt that.
A girl can dream, but I really want X Corp to be good.
I am 100% certain it will be. I have every faith.
And this time, if X Corp turns out to be as good as we hope it will be, and God willing it is, Storm willing that it is, maybe it won't be a situation like last time when we had 2 tops where we just like one more, but we're actually going to have 2 equally fantastic tops inside us at the same time.
Are we talking about a DP situation?
Yes. I can't wait to get to this X Factor Gala issue because I think some of those costumes are pretty lit.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we are set to continue in our review of the Hellfire Gala costumes. What are the looks that we will be reviewing today?
Well, it looks like first up on the chopping block is the one, the only, the goddess herself, Storm.
These designs were by Russell Dodderman. Ooh, we're starting out strong this time.
We
Right.
started with Emma, we start with Storm.
Alrighty.
I love these throwbacks to the Wakanda. I'm seeing in the necklace and in the shoulder pads and the multi-tiered, multi-ringed necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Thundercloud capelet.
And can we talk about these shoes? Get the shoes, baby.
Yes,
Get the
okay.
shoes.
This is an example looking at Emma's shoes and the other shoes that we've seen, especially Iceman's,
Mhm.
this is an example of good shoe design. Like this heel is interesting. The
This is a
colors are
heel?
fantastic. I mean, this is a wedge. I love it.
No, this is a heel that is a wedge at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I live. This is a great use. I mean, I am living for those boots. I mean, let's just, give them to me.
So Storm and Marauders was like, tomorrow at the gala, I'm not even going to know you. This is why.
I'm going to look past you because we are not going to be on the same level come that gala evening. And this look, okay, I know y'all love this look head to toe. I live for the jewelry. I live for the gold accents here. I love the side swept hair. It is fantastic, regal, cloud-like. I I rarely ever turn down a capelet, but I think Storm and Her Majesty, I would live if this thunder weather capelet was actually a full-length cape that was a train dragging fog behind her in swirls and curls. And I don't know how I feel about the bottom half of this because it's a leotard. I mean, like, I think there are better, more imaginative things you could do here, but I can't dog this too much because it is impressive. Even down to the giant thunderbolt clip in her hair. Right,
So
DeVon?
I feel a fog cloud would just be too depressing. It's not majestic. It's not strong. It doesn't say strength. It doesn't say storm. It says I am here to bring the party down. Is what a fog cloud trailing behind you would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Has it been so long since you've been at a club that had a fog machine, DeVon?
And they always depress me. I have my take.
There's
I,
DeVon. He's like, oh, there's the fog machine. I'm gonna go sit down.
No, when I think of a fog, all I can think is foggy London town, and that usually is more like something is coming. But Storm doesn't need to be something is coming. Storm has arrived.
Right.
That's what this
I'll give
says.
it to you. Yeah. I mean, the more I look at it, I do like the capelet more and more. I do think, of course, the lightning bolts, dramatic.
Can you imagine seeing this in action?
I know.
Imagine that there is just a thunderstorm behind her in a controlled environment.
Like in her wake. Yeah.
She's wearing a thunderstorm.
Still not sure how I feel about this leotard bottom.
Okay, Michelle Visage.
It's a bodysuit. It's a piece of fabric.
I will give you that. It is
Fantastic, though.
a little
doesn't-
simplistic.
It doesn't
But-
need to be extravagant.
No, it doesn't.
The star is everything above those rockin' thighs. Who
She is the
knew?
Beyonce of this team, and she can do no wrong.
Fact.
This is definitely like, yeah, this is a Beyonce look, and any issues I might have with it, I cannot deny. It is undeniably gorgeous. I'd say then I'm going to give this a solid A.
As will I. A plus, actually.
A plus. It's
Because
oof.
yes, the Thunder Cape. I'm a big fan.
I mean, I live. My legs go above my ears.
Michael's throwing his legs back for this look, y'all.
Damn.
Okay, so then let's move on to our next look. Here we have Kate Pride. And before we talk about this, I want to point out that in Marauders, one of our text pages was about Emma commissioning this brooch on Kate's shoulder that is made out of diamond, ethically sourced, thank God, but also contains a bullet that represents one of Kate's greatest feats in Astonishing X-Men, where she phased a giant bullet through the earth and saved everyone's lives at the risk of her own life. To me, it was an interesting, comics, everybody. To me, it was an interesting detail to throw in there, and I don't know how effective it was because, again, because it's comics, characters do amazing things all the time in every arc. The bullet definitely was one of Kitty's biggest things, but she's done so many things. Why is the bullet the one that is really being singled out here?
I can tell you why. Because one of the last bits of dialogue that she has is Emma telepathically communicating to her. She's like, I just didn't want you to be alone. And remember, up until that point, those two had been adversarial. They had been fighting. And she goes, are you surprised, Emma? And she goes, astonished, Miss Pride. Hence the name of the book. It's really good dialogue.
It was a really great moment. I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the turning point for Emma and Kate.
But let's talk about this look. Oof.
Okay.
Okay. Now that
So-
we've gushed over the history.
Kate has had a very long history with costumes. It's been a very difficult history, and I think it's reflected here in this piece, where she's not quite sure what she wants to look like.
Yep.
I want to point out a really weird throwback in Kitty Pryde's history where back when she was known for having awful costumes all the time as the youngest member of the X-Men, she had something that was called Kitty's Costume Corner, each spelled with a K.
Oh no.
I
Oh,
know.
No. And she's Jewish, baby.
And she's Jewish. I mean, that was, I don't know who approved that. at all.
Oh,
But from
man.
now on, if we ever have to type out or reference Kitty's costume corner, we're going to be using the appropriate letters for those words.
Not
I'm
just
not-
that, we'll be
I'm-
typing it out in full.
I am not letting one of the most prominent Jewish mutants run around with her KKK segment. Come on.
That is a classic example of too many white men in the room.
Ugh. Yeah, this costume is. The influences here are interesting. You can tell this is supposed to evoke, one, her status as the Red Queen, two, her role as a pirate, as the captain of the ship. But I know Dodderman's notes for this look were kind of using cutouts and different fabrics to reference phasing and moving through different objects. I don't think this is very cohesive, and I don't think it effectively conveys that either. There could be better ways to evoke that. This is, ooh.
So a couple of things. Number one, this evokes what the Red Keep is like her little castle area that all the Hellfire folk have. It does the same thing of red shit jutting out of the rock, out of the cliffs. Also, I love an asymmetrical look.
Asymmetry's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I do like.
I like it.
I like asymmetrical looks. This, however, looks like one of those gift bags with the red tissue just kind of blowing out of it, and someone's like ripped the hole in the side.
I don't like the X on the glove. I assume it's on both gloves.
It's also on her boots.
On her boots. I don't like the boots. I get it, they're pirate boots, but it's just it doesn't work.
You know, I actually do like the boots.
The
Where do
boots
they
are-
end? The mystery is forever.
The boots are okay. I mean, maybe I'd be more into more of like a riding boot. Maybe Emma has some left over from her days with butter rum. But
We don't speak of that.
I just
yeah,
need like
Angelica couldn't like lend any to Kitty. She's not
I
using
just-
them. This outfit, I love the color red. It's striking. It really does make Kate kind of look like a teenage girl again, which I also don't super love. It's like a bad dress to the prom.
Yes.
I'm gonna give this a solid C.
You know, I'm gonna give it a B minus. As much as the dress thing is a little ridiculous, it's kind of okay. I like the colors. I like the color combination. I like where we're trying to go with this. I do like that the boots probably go up to her crotch, and of course the diamond X and its significance. You know, the more I look at this, the more I like it.
You know, I'm kind of feeling that way too. I might upgrade this
Get
to a
on my
B
level.
minus. B minus. That is as high as I can go here. I'm
Like-
gonna trust my instincts.
Yeah, like individually, none of these pieces would work, but together they're kind of okay. Like I try not to look at this red thing and think that that is the dress and the darker red as being the coat. And I'm trying to see it as just one piece. Because if
One
you look at it as
cohesive
two separate
vision.
pieces, it's just a hot mess.
I give it an A minus because I actually like it.
Let's take a look at Mastermind.
All right. Okay, girl, you got out of bed and said, I guess I'll go to the gala.
Right. I was just about to comment in the Hellions review that someone should give him a new coat. And now that they have, someone should give him another new coat.
I mean, Jesus, what did they do when they did they resurrect this coat with him when he got brought back to life? Because, girl, this is nothing. This is what you always wear, and it wasn't even that good to begin with. You were never the most interestingly dressed individual of the Hellfire Club to begin with. So
He also looked very, very different from how we saw him in Hellions, because in Hellions he was still using his standard illusion for how he really looks. This is what he really looks like.
It's unimpressive.
Like, sir, you are the top catfisher in the world, and this is how you show up.
I really seriously think that he thought he could just do something fabulous with illusions, and Emma shut that shit down. I really think that's what it is. And then he's just like, well, I guess I'll slick my hair up.
You're right. This is a man who has never had to actually dress up a day in his life. Not since his powers emerged. He doesn't remember how to groom, and I think that's reflected here.
This overall look, C minus, and that's a C minus because of a lack of effort. Individually, it would be fine on a minion or some nobody, but this is your chance to shine. This is what you came up with. Boring. C minus.
I'm giving it a D. I hate the leotard.
Ah,
What leotard?
the leggings.
Oh, they are kind of Ugg booty.
Oh my God, you're right. D minus.
Okay.
I give this an F because it's all about the effort.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
no effort. Goodbye.
All right. These designs were by Steven Segovia. So let's take a look at Sinister's look for the gala.
Yes.
So this one, look, I don't know how to grade this because does Sinister not always look like he would be walking into a gala with his crazy ribbon capes and whatnot? And in this case, this look is disappointing because it is no different than anything he would otherwise wear. And yet I cannot deny that it is probably fitting the standards of the gala, but I'm not shocked or tantalized by it. So I think I have no choice just to give it an average because it's what he would always wear. So C.
I think Sinister, the sassy Sinister that we've come to know and love, would make the case that when you've already achieved perfection, how much higher can you go? Yeah, he does look like final boss Sinister. I agree. Not much different than what you would normally see. I'm getting some Onslaught vibes here too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. He looks like he saw Onslaught and was like, I want that. I'll take it in every color.
Now that would be daring if he decided to walk his ass in there in front of Charles and Eric and be like, hey, check out this Onslaught dud I have.
Although,
Almost-
on brand.
Almost as audacious as Emma wearing Jean's old Dark Phoenix costume during the affair.
yeah, I'm gonna give this one a C plus.
So my main issue is we have had book after book after book telling us how much Sinister loves his cape, right? With the big plumes and the big tails, and he's peacocking all about, and magnificent shoulders. And this looks like all of those fabulous plumes wilted, and I'm bothered by it. With all the build up for capes, for him to give me this, C plus, I guess.
In his collection of capes, this is not his best cape.
Yeah, no.
Let's see. Other characters that we saw in Hellions are Psylocke.
Oh, Psylocke.
Go ahead. What you got for us, DeVon? I can
It's
feel it coming.
she looks like she just woke up to answer the door in the middle of the morning. This looks like a house dress.
I hate this. And I have talked before about my issues with Kwanan on the page when they show her in like what is supposed to be, I guess, Japanese dress. And to be fair, I am not ethnically Japanese, so I could be missing cues here. But from what I understand of Japanese fashion and Kwanan going back to traditional clothing, it never looks as flashy as it is depicted in those pages, nor should it if it's her casual clothing. And in this case, you're really ramping up a lot of things that seem to read as stereotypes and tropes for this costume. You have her hair up in kind of a bun that is not really Japanese. It actually almost reads more of like a Chinese thing in antiquity, while her hair still manages to somehow be down. And then she has these sleeves that are like kimono sleeves, but not really because they're translucent or sheer. You have this dress that is not very elegant and way too complicated and layered. Terrible strappy shoes, not into it. And then to try to just give it some sort of, I guess, additional Japanese flair, you threw up a bunch of peach blossoms literally growing out the side of it and down. Like, is this a pattern? Are these actual flowers that are sticking? Like, you chopped off a bunch of peach blossoms on a branch and just glued them to her dress. Like, I don't think, based on the character we've seen, that she would wear something like this. I don't think that this is a particularly good dress. And frankly, if you wanted Psylocke to be more traditional and you wanted her to look elegant, I don't think it's wrong for her, if you really wanted to do it, have her in a true traditional Japanese kimono and hair done up traditionally. Like, that is formal wear in Japan. It is a style of formal wear. And if that's what you wanted to go for, do that instead. What is this? I'm not here for this.
Are the flowers, could they be telekinetically floating around her?
I mean, I'm not seeing any power signature to indicate that that's the case, but even if they were, why are they floating in a chunk? Wouldn't it be more beautiful, more ethereal for those flowers to be surrounding her, right? Like to be kind of almost like falling like a petal rain around her. Like this is, and I hate those shoes. I hate them so much.
I mean, the shoes are terrible, but it kind of looks like, first of all, no ankle straps. Stop it, ladies. It kind of looks like she just grabbed a dress. You know, like maybe she assumed she wasn't going to go to the gala. And then she grabbed a dress and then was like, you know what? I'll just have some flowers on it to mimic a kimono. And she's like telekinetically doing it, which I wouldn't hate. See, I actually like this dress. I think it's pretty. I understand where you guys are coming from. It's kind of stereotypical and things like that. So I totally get that. But just aesthetically, I think it's very pretty. And also, her titties are out. So I'm always for it.
She's got that J-Lo Versace deep cut on her chest. But then the fact that you have these kimono sleeves, the fabric, whatever is conveyed to me of the fabric here looks stiff, not well draped. It's sloppy on her and it reads kind of big and loose.
Right? Yeah, I'm giving it a C.
Oh, I'm giving this a D-.
B-.
Our other Hellions character that we had in this book was Havoc.
I love this actually. I know it's very safer from Final Fantasy VIII. The only thing that really drags this down from an A to an A- are these straps that are reminiscent of the stupidest helmet in all Marvel. Havoc, he really got a raw deal when it comes to costumes. You know, we really didn't need to be reminded of that in this otherwise really nice asymmetrical jacket with these these
almost
circle
concentric circles. Yeah,
yeah,
because at first you think it's like that look from his powers,
Mhm.
but it's a little bit more manipulated. I agree. I like this more than I think I really should. I'm bothered by the straps from his head helmet, and I understand why they're there, but I think they're a bit too on the nose.
Yeah.
I think there are more interesting ways you could have conveyed the same idea and keeping that element in a way that's not literally big ribbons coming across his chest like he's half transformed into his Sailor Senshi. I do actually like the pattern on the cuffs and on the coat here. The rest of it is relatively unremarkable. I don't like the standard collar that he has. I think a more high fashion collar would have been either a high neck collar or something like that. But overall, I don't hate it as much as I think I should. I'll give this a C+.
When I look at this, I like most of it for all the reasons that you've said. I actually like the little ribbons going around his chest and his shoulders. It's a little avant-garde. It's away from the traditional male silhouette. But I am appalled that he just wore regular slacks and shoes.
Right.
Why can't you have the same circle designs on his sleeves on his pant legs?
That would be too much.
On his shoes or something. You don't have any. It's literally the coat.
Bit.
The coat is the high fashion. Everything else here is civilian wear.
The coat's really cute. I would want this coat. I would wear this coat. Like you said, everything underneath really is just civilian wear. Like he forgot about the gala and let me just throw this Shi'ar thing on. Also, I'm bothered that his hair is so tousled. Like, fix your hair, girl.
Now, to be fair, you know, it's been said that the Hellions are not invited to the gala. And that may explain the last minute quality of these designs.
That would explain it, both Quanon and Alex's looks, honestly. I give him, because you like the coat, B-.
I'm giving it an A-.
Wow.
I know. I still really like it. I like the traditional male silhouette. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the slacks or the shoes. I don't think everything needs to be completely outlandish to be gala worthy. I know.
All right. Here we have designs for Magic by Alex Linz. This is interesting because we've seen some other promo art where we see this costume for Magic, and this doesn't misconvey what she looks like, but I think there's something different. This is more of a sketch, and how it actually looks manifested is a bit different. I'm two ways about this. I think the black underneath is a little too simplistic. I understand why it's there to contrast against the etherealness, the colors that are in the dress here. I love the rolled fabric for the horns that are floating above her. I think that's very clever. And I generally dig this kind of flowing sort of gown. I'd give this a B.
Oh, no, this is getting an A for me. The fabric at the bottom evoking flames and really pronouncing her as the no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing the clue thing. Really playing up her role as the Queen of Limbo or Hell and her dark child persona. It's beautiful. I love it. I mean, I have only seen this version of it. Even the full effect is not something I've had. If it's even better, yeah, I'm all for it. So giving this an A.
Well, it's very ethereal. And Terrence, when you were talking about Storm and looking for like a fog coming in, that's what this is. Like,
this is what I'm talking about.
She's wearing a ghost.
Speaking of Queen of Hell, I know this might be a bit of a riff on Hellboy, but the thing that might really push this into A territory for me is if she was audacious enough to have a little floating crown of some sort between those horns, because she is the Queen of Limbo.
Or just walks around with her sword.
So I know that this is a sketch, but in the other versions of this you've seen, is the fabric still sheer? Can you still see her beneath?
It is still sheer. Yeah.
Then I love it even more because it's showing the girl in hell.
Yes.
Like you can see through it to her. See that she's there underneath, but she's still surrounded by all of the flames and the horns. I love it even more now.
Yeah, the sketch honestly does a disservice to what this look actually is. You really do need to go and find those previews of the covers where you can see magic in all her glory, because it really shows that black armor underneath, which is like hinting at Magic's personality and her demeanor. She's like, where she's got this warrior demon side just beneath the surface of this ethereal magical sorceress quality.
This is an example for me of a very effective fascinator that is held up in some sort of mutant power or telekinetic or magical way. I know y'all liked it, but for me, the one with Jean, not as effective. This is a concept, right? It's actually her horns. It's in a clever sort of way. And it is in a way that doesn't feel like mechanically, where would this go? If she has horns, you need to stay the hell out of her way. If Jean is holding a bunch of shards all over her head, who knows where you need to go.
Also, we've talked about shoes. Notice her shoes are hooves.
Ugh, love it. Nod to the hooves. Dark Child, give it to me.
Yes, it's so good. My grade, A. Solid A.
All right. These designs now are by Matteo Lolli. So first here, we're going to take a look at Bishop. Girl.
It's very
he showed
Janet Jackson backup dancer.
It's very Barrett in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Like, look at this mini jacket. Mini jackets are everything in Final Fantasy. I think, DeVon, you mentioned when we had talked about this off podcast that this is supposed to be Red Bishop because he is the Red Bishop.
Right.
But this is not pronounced enough. I don't know if it's because the color is not contrasting as much from his skin tone here. It's more of a rust color, and I want something bold, right? Even Kitty's colors seem to run, that red fabric-y part of her dress is bold and bright. I'd like to see that with Bishop. This doesn't really read as anything related to the character as we've known him. I do love his shoes, but I don't think, some body chains on a Toreador jacket is really doing it enough for me.
Yeah, I agree. It just feels like they didn't know what to do with Bishop.
The visor is such an afterthought. What does that have to do with anything?
That was him being avant-garde. He's from a dystopian future. He doesn't know fashion.
He borrowed it from Cyclops. It was like,
I know,
he's one of his sleep masks.
Oh my God, right? I was like, Cyclops, can I just borrow your sleep mask? God, I need something.
I realize that this is not the flashiest thing, but I love that jacket. I think those pants are looking right. I would fuck the hell out of him.
So, of course, but
and that cut. Do you see that fade?
It is a good fade. I mean, that is a nice hairstyle.
No, I'm gonna say Bishop has also been very unfortunate with the hairstyles he's been given since his premiere. That mullet.
You don't like his mullet?
Hate his mullet.
But recently in this run, they've done well. They've given him some realistic black hair. That isn't just the standard dreads or cornrows that they tend to do.
The tattoo over his eye doesn't stand for mutant. The M stands for mullet.
I hate you.
The 90s was a dark time for all of us.
I mean, this is Hot Boy Summer, but this is not it for the gala for me. I'm going to give this a C.
For Bishop, the Red Bishop in red, I'm giving him a C minus.
Ooh, this is the boldest we've ever seen Bishop dress. And again, I'm all about effort. and also he's hot, so I can't mark him too low. So I give it a B-.
Here we have Pyro in his outfit. I'm going to say it. I know DeVon and I have talked about this. I actually really like this. One, okay, let's talk about Havoc. He did his hair. Okay, Pyro actually did his hair. Two, the color is nice and offset with this dark red with a bright fire detail for Pyro's mutant power. It's on the shoulders, it's on the cuffs. I love it. And you have a bit of a fashion forward debonair fringe shirt underneath, same color, bold. The only thing I will really clock him here for are these shoes. Either make them the same color, go something that's more high fashion, but he could find something better. I know DeVon is thinking that this is totally relying on the mask tattoo, but it's bold and it's a choice he made to bring it into his everyday look, and I think it's super effective here.
I think in terms of making these costumes so that the characters beneath can be recognized, so that these are recognizable versions of the X-Men that we know and love, this fails. Not as badly as Bishop's costume, but okay, so there are fire decals. Every fourth mutant has a fire power. And like I said, if it wasn't for this face tattoo, you wouldn't know who this is. He's just generic blonde fire mutant number 4.
But that's what Pyro is.
And he controls fire, thank you. He can't make it.
I think this looks sophisticated. It does read a little basic whenever you see like a sports red carpet and athletes who never really gave a damn about fashion are dressed up by a stylist. This kind of reads like that. It is very on trend. There's nothing too wrong about it. I do like the fringe shirt. I mean, I think that makes it a little bit different. It's not the highest of fashion and it's not the most daring. I can enjoy this enough. I would give this a B.
So I appreciate the effort in the hair. You know I love it when they show skin, so he's already winning points there. But that fringe shirt, doesn't it remind anyone else of, who's that one like masked country singer?
Orville Peck.
Orville Peck. That is an Orville Peck mask on his chest.
And I'm here for it.
But also, overall, he doesn't look like he's attending the gala. He looks like he's the valet for the gala. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me he's not like Mr. Stark, I'll take your car.
No, you're right. I see it.
This fringe thing is giving it to me. That is what's saving it for me from being super basic. So
is it because this fringe shirt definitely looks like something you'd order from Wish?
Some good things are found on Wish.
Yeah, and then they break after your first use.
He only needs it for one night.
So the outfit itself, I actually do kind of like. So that's saving it for me. I'm gonna give it a B. I don't think it's very distinctly Pyro, but I like the colors. I do like the details on the jacket. I don't like the fringe shirt at all, but I actually like the shoes in combination with this. I know it's weird, but I'm a big Oxford guy, and I think these work well with these this cut of pant.
I don't hate these shoes on their own. I think, again, anyone on a red carpet would be wearing something like this. I just wish that the shoes were more in line with the rest of the outfit.
Agreed.
Maroon would have been too much. Gold would have been too matching. I like that they're complementary without being overwhelming.
What about maroon shoes with gold flames?
Absolutely not.
What if he just had flames coming, like tracing off of his heels? Like,
maybe I'm not the most fashion forward person, or at least when it comes to haute couture. But I like this. This is simple, but I like it.
He had flames on the side of his face.
You found a way to get that in anyway.
B-.
All right. And our last one for the night here is none other than the Black King himself, Sebastian Shaw.
Buddy is coming for Xavier's gig.
Not all people in wheelchairs look the same, Michael. Nothing about this is wrong. This is similar to Pyro. It's not exciting, and maybe I wouldn't expect Shaw to be exciting. Shaw literally is the head of the Hellfire Club, and he wears foppish wear all the time. So what is this? This is a business suit, gloves, and a lot of frickin' jewelry just slathered all over the front. The fur cape is not even a cape. It's like a rug that he's sitting on and letting slouch over his shoulders. He has looked far more like the Black King of the Hellfire Club in other iterations than this. This is like boring ass producer wear.
How the Black King gonna be found in a blue suit?
It's a good point.
You had one job.
But you guys ragged on Bishop for being the red Bishop. But at the same time, Like, Black King should be in black.
I'm going to give the artist the benefit of the doubt and say that it's really hard to draw a black suit in any great detail. So they made a suit so black that it looks blue.
Ultra black.
Right?
When I look at Sebastian Shaw's, not his accoutrement, when I look at all that regalia on him, it just makes me think of, like, you know, that grandpa that was in the military that has like a chest full of medals. They've just pinned a bunch of medals to his chest. He could be bleeding. Who knows? It's Sebastian Shaw. Who cares? The coat is more like orthopedic in nature because he's sitting on his ass all day.
Right.
It really feels like someone else dressed him because they couldn't get him out of the chair.
I would even say about the regalia that not even the benefit of having been a war veteran, that these are like medals that he found at a thrift store and bought because he thought they looked cool, and he has no association to any of this. He just thought it looked nice. He's a poser.
Come on, stolen valor.
This is stolen valor. Like, I'm giving this a C-. Someone like Shaw who would want to be all about the power play, this is not a power play.
Have we not mentioned how, it's business on top and Halloween on the bottom?
With
These
those
black and
shoes?
orange shoes, like what is going on here?
I get that the shoes have buckles because it's Hellfire. Why is that not in everything else?
Yeah, like, what if he went full pilgrim? Just imagine it. Full pilgrim. The orange socks do really read as like, these are my fun socks. You know?
They do. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'm giving this a D.
Solid D for me as well.
All right. So that means that our top look of this week was Storm. I mean, just bow down.
Bow down, bitches.
Right.
Who could compete with this week? No one.
Honestly, like, there's nothing you can do. To quote a very famous quote from Designing Women.
When she walked down the runway in her swimsuit, 5 contestants quit on the spot.
That is Storm. You cannot compare. You cannot try. You cannot walk under her. You definitely cannot be above her. You cannot even be on the same level. You simply have to thank her for existing parallel to you.
With that storm cape, I mean, you literally cannot be around her.
Yeah.
You can be under her.
She is an OSHA hazard.
She was near Kate. Kate's hair would frizz the fuck up. Like, I love you, Ororo, but I gotta be on the other side of
It's
this
okay,
room.
she's pretending she doesn't know who she is anyway.
Exactly. Who are you?
Also-
Sorry.
Just imagine, there are at least 10 knives hidden in this costume.
Oh my god, like where?
Where?
That's why her hair is so big. It's
Full of knives.
full of knives. All right. So those were our thoughts on the outfits for this week. What did you think? If you have other opinions, if you think we missed a critical reference here, tell us in the comments. Shoot us an email. Let us know.
With that said, remember, you can always contact us at said email, which is goodmorningkrakoa@gmail.com. So please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share.
And we will be back next week with more books and more looks.
Absolutely. So with all that said, good morning, Krakoa, and good night.